Have you ever looked at your grandparents and wondered about the secrets hidden behind their smiles? The untold stories in their eyes, the lessons learned, the mistakes made, and the wisdom they've accumulated over a lifetime. We see them as figures of comfort and nostalgia. But what if we could go deeper? What if we could sit down and truly hear the advice they wish they could give us? Not just the simple platitudes, but the raw, unfiltered, transformative truths that shaped who they are? That burning question is what led me on a journey to my grandfather's house, a place filled with the whispers of his past, a place where I was about to uncover the answers we all secretly long for. And I'm taking you with me. The grandfather clock in the hallway of my grandpa's house stood like a silent sentinel, its pendulum a slow, steady rhythm against the quiet hum of the afternoon. As a kid, its ticking always felt a little spooky, a constant reminder of time slipping away. But today, the sound was different. It felt like a gentle nudge, a whisper of a life lived minute by minute, hour by hour. My grandfather, a man of few words, sat across from me in his worn armchair. I watched the lines on his face, each one a crease of a memory, a laugh, a worry. My mind was buzzing with one question. What did he know that I didn't? I started with the question we all want the answer to. If you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be? He didn't answer right away. His gaze drifted toward the clock, his eyes distant, as if he were watching a movie only he could see. He ran a hand over the smooth wood of the chair arm, a slow, deliberate motion. The silence was thick with the weight of my question, the years of reflection it must have sparked. I realized this wasn't going to be a simple Q&A. It was going to be an excavation of a life. He finally spoke, his voice a low rumble. I'd tell myself to stop rushing. He leaned forward slightly, his eyes now focused on me. We spend so much time chasing the next big thing, the next milestone. We rush through moments, thinking they're just stepping stones to something better. He gestured around the room. But what if the stepping stones are the destination? The quiet afternoons, the simple conversations, the feeling of the sun on your face. Those are the things you can't get back. His words hit me like a revelation. I had been living my life on fast forward, always looking ahead. The clock's ticking no longer felt like a countdown to an end, but a reminder to be present in the now. The house itself seemed to breathe with this new understanding. The dust motes dancing in the sunbeams, the worn-out patterns on the rug, the familiar scent of old books. They weren't just background details, they were the very fabric of a life, woven thread by thread. My grandpa's garden was a point of pride, a vibrant explosion of color and life. But today, he led me to a small, neglected patch behind the shed, a wild tangle of weeds and overgrown shrubs. He pointed to a single, delicate rose struggling to bloom amid the chaos. "This used to be my prize-winning rose bush," he said, his voice tinged with a hint of melancholy. "But I got busy, too busy with work. I thought I'd get back to it." He bent down and gently brushed a leaf. I never did. He stood up, his gaze sweeping over the untamed patch. "That's the second piece of advice I'd give my younger self," he continued. "Tend to your garden. Not just the one with flowers, but the one inside you." He explained that our passions, our relationships, and our well-being are like a garden. They need constant care and attention. You can't just plant a seed and walk away, he said. If you don't water your relationships, they'll wither. If you don't nurture your hobbies, they'll get choked by the weeds of responsibility. You can't put off what's important until later. I thought about my own life, the friends I hadn't called in months, the creative projects I'd pushed to the side for more important things. And I bet you can relate, too. We all have a patch of our own untended garden, a wild mess of good intentions and forgotten dreams. His words were a mirror, reflecting a part of me I had been ignoring. It wasn't about finding time. It was about making time. It was about prioritizing the things that truly nourished my soul and my connections with others, not just the things that paid the bills. He walked me back toward the house, his steps slow and deliberate, and the rose bush was still there, a tiny island of beauty in a sea of neglect. It was a powerful, silent lesson for both of us. The house seemed to hold its breath as we passed, a testament to a life that had both bloomed in some places and withered in others. His stories weren't just for me. They were for anyone who had ever let their own garden become overgrown with the business of life. The kitchen was the heart of the home, a warm, comforting space filled with the smells of baked bread and simmering stews. But in one corner, on a high shelf, sat a single, mismatched plate with a hairline crack running through it. I had never noticed it before. My grandpa saw me looking and smiled sadly. "That was my favorite plate," he said. "Broke it one Christmas Eve. Was rushing to get dinner on the table, trying to make everything perfect. Dropped it and shattered it right in front of everyone." He took the plate down carefully, running his thumb over the crack. "I was furious at myself," he admitted. "I thought that a mistake like that ruined the whole evening. I spent the rest of the night worrying about it when all anyone else cared about was being together. It was a beautiful night, but I missed half of it because I was focused on the crack." He held the plate out to me. "That's the third piece of advice. Don't let the broken plates ruin the meal." He explained that life isn't about perfection. It's about accepting the flaws and the cracks and learning to find beauty in the imperfections. "We all drop plates," he said with a small chuckle. "We make mistakes. We say the wrong thing, we fail at something, and we can let those little cracks consume us. Or we can choose to see them as a part of the story." The plate was a testament to a moment of imperfection that had become a cherished memory. Looking at the cracked plate, I thought about all the times I had let a small error overshadow an otherwise good day. The spilled coffee, the wrong word said to a friend, the failed attempt at a new skill. And I'm guessing you have, too. We have a whole cupboard of broken plates in our lives, each one a monument to a moment of frustration. The house felt a little more forgiving now. A place where mistakes weren't just accepted, but were a part of the decor, a sign of a life well lived, not perfectly lived. After we finished in the kitchen, my grandpa led me into his study. The room was a sanctuary of his life, filled with books, maps, and an old photograph album with a faded leather cover. He pulled it from a shelf and placed it in my lap. The pages were yellowed and brittle, filled with black and white photos of people I barely recognized. There were pictures of my grandma, young and vibrant, of my dad as a boy, and of my grandpa himself with a full head of dark hair. He pointed to a photo of my grandma and him on their wedding day. "I spent so much of my life worrying about money," he confessed, his voice a low hum. "Worrying about what we had, what we didn't have. I let that worry overshadow so many moments. On our first trip together, I was more focused on the cost of the hotel than on the view from the window." He tapped the photograph. "But you know what I remember now? I remember her laugh. I remember how her hand felt in mine. I remember the way she looked at me, not what our bank account looked like." He explained that chasing financial security is important, but it shouldn't be the sole purpose of life. "I would tell my younger self to invest in experiences, not just assets," he said. "To save for a rainy day, but also to spend on a sunny one. To understand that true wealth isn't measured in dollars, but in memories, in connections, and in the love you share with others." He turned the page, a picture of my grandma holding a baby, my dad. All that worrying, it didn't make me richer in the ways that truly matter. I looked at the photos, at the young versions of my family, and saw a truth in his words. We are so conditioned to believe that money equals happiness, that success is measured by our net worth. But the photos told a different story. They were a visual record of a life rich with love, laughter, and shared moments. Moments that money could never buy back. The house wasn't just a structure. It was a museum of these priceless moments, a collection far more valuable than any bank account. I realized that the greatest treasure was right here, in this room, in these memories. If you're finding this as eye-opening as I am, please do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button. It's a small click for you, but it's a huge help for this channel, and it allows me to bring you more of these powerful stories. We moved from the study into the old TV room. The room was simple, filled with an old couch and a few worn blankets my grandma had crocheted. I sat on the floor, and my grandpa settled on the couch, his hands resting on his knees. "I want to ask you about the hard things," I said. "The regrets." He was quiet for a long moment, and I worried I had pushed too far. But then, he pointed to a picture on the wall. A photo of him and his brother, a man I had only heard about, a man who had passed away years ago. My brother and I, we had an argument, a silly one, about something that meant nothing. He said, his voice softer now. We were both stubborn. We said some things we shouldn't have, and we never really made it right. He looked at the photo, a faint, sad smile on his face. I kept telling myself I'd call him tomorrow, that we'd have a long talk, that we'd clear the air. But tomorrow never came. He paused, and a single tear traced a path down his cheek. That's the fifth piece of advice. Don't let the sun go down on unsaid words. This was a gut punch. So many of us hold grudges, wait for the other person to make the first move, or assume we have all the time in the world. But my grandpa's advice was a stark reminder that life is fragile and tomorrow is never guaranteed. He wasn't just talking about a big fight. He was talking about saying, I love you, thank you, and I'm sorry. The weight of those unsaid words can be heavier than any luggage we carry. It's a lesson about the importance of vulnerability and forgiveness. As we walked through the house, I noticed all the little things I used to overlook. The way the morning light hit the stained glass window in the hallway, the faint scent of cinnamon from the kitchen, the squeak of the floorboards in the hall. My grandpa noticed me looking and smiled. I used to think that happiness was something you had to earn, he said. Something that only came with big victories, getting the promotion, buying the house, celebrating a birthday. He stopped by the window, pointing to the dancing colors on the floor. But the real joy, it's in the in-between moments. He explained that true contentment isn't about the grand events, but about finding beauty in the ordinary. It's the laughter from the kitchen, the feeling of a warm mug in your hands on a cold morning, the way a song on the radio can bring back a memory. These moments, he said, are the true currency of a happy life. They are the small, quiet joys that we often miss because we're too busy waiting for the big ones. This conversation was a game changer for me. It made me realize how much happiness I'd let pass me by, waiting for a perfect vacation or a big life event. It made me look at the little things in my own life, the perfect cup of coffee, the 5 minutes of quiet reading, the smile from a stranger. If you're enjoying this story and finding these lessons as meaningful as I did, please consider hitting that subscribe button. My grandpa's front yard was home to a simple wooden bird feeder, and as we stood there, a few sparrows fluttered down to grab a seed. He watched them with a quiet contentment. I'd tell my younger self to be kinder, he said, his voice soft. Not just to others, but to myself, too. He explained that in his youth, he often judged people too quickly and was too hard on himself for every little mistake. He gestured to the birds. You don't know what journey that little bird has been on, he said, and you don't know what battles the people you meet are fighting. He spoke about the power of a simple smile, a moment of empathy, or a word of encouragement. He also talked about the importance of self-compassion, of forgiving our own imperfections and being patient with our own growth. He said that a kind heart is a muscle that needs to be worked, and that the greatest legacy we can leave is not our achievements, but the ripple effect of our kindness. His words made me think about all the times I'd been short with someone, or critical of a friend, or even just rude to a stranger. It's a simple lesson, but a profound one. Kindness isn't just a nicety. It's the most important currency we have. And if you're finding value in this, if these life lessons are helping you see the world a little differently, please consider subscribing. It's a small act of kindness that makes a huge difference to this channel. As the afternoon sun began to set, casting long shadows across the room, my grandpa shared his final piece of advice. I tell myself to find my purpose, my North Star, and not let anyone talk me out of it. He explained that so much of his early life was spent trying to meet the expectations of others, to follow a path that was laid out for him. He worked a job he wasn't passionate about and pursued a life that looked good on paper but didn't feel right in his soul. He gestured to a large, framed map of the world on the wall. True fulfillment doesn't come from doing what's expected of you, but from doing what makes your heart sing, he said. It's about having the courage to forge your own path, even if it's not the easiest one. It's about listening to that quiet voice inside you that knows what you're truly meant to do. He told me that his greatest joy in retirement wasn't the money he saved, but the time he finally had to paint, a hobby he had neglected for decades. This was the final piece of the puzzle. It brought all the other lessons together. You can't stop rushing if you don't know where you're going. You can't tend your garden if you don't know what to plant. You can't be kind to others if you aren't kind to yourself. And you can't find joy in the in-between moments if you aren't living a life that feels authentic to you. It all starts with finding your purpose. And so, as the day came to an end, I left my grandfather's house with a new perspective. The house wasn't just a building. It was a museum of wisdom. The grandfather clock, the untended garden, the broken plate, the old photos, the unsaid words, the birds in the yard, and the map on the wall, each one a powerful reminder of the lessons they wish they could give us. These aren't just stories, they're a blueprint for a well-lived life. My grandpa's advice has changed how I see the world, and I truly hope it has done the same for you. Let's keep this conversation going. If these lessons resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button and join our community. Your support allows me to create more videos like this. Videos that share timeless wisdom and help us all live with more intention and purpose. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Hit the bell icon for the daily updates. Please do like, subscribe, and share with your friends.